Happy September. 2/3 of the way through 2024. Man, put things into perspective and what you've wanted to do at the beginning of the year. Where are we at? Dang, we're getting into the fall, right? Kids are back in school.
Oh, back to school. Back to school.
Weather's starting to cool off in most places. We'll say here it's a little delayed. It's looking like we're, a couple more weeks into September when we're finally gonna get dropped down below 100 here. And for all you football nerds out there, we're back, baby.
You like that? You like that?
Yes, I am one of those. I am in 4 fantasy football leagues. I keep telling myself stop adding them, but there I go. I added another one this year. I'm in 4. Last draft is tonight. I digress. Anyway, now you're probably not here for mediocre fantasy football advice. If you are, we can talk offline. You might be here just because you're curious about the Phoenix area, its suburbs, and then you constantly saw Mesa popping up. Whether you know a little or a lot about the valley, let's dive in and chat a little bit more about the pros and cons of Mesa, Arizona, and what it has to offer as a whole. So let's get one thing straight. Mesa, Arizona is big. It's large. It covers a lot of ground.
It was an Alaskan forward!
When people say they are from Mesa and they have very different perspectives, that can tell you it might just be from very different areas of Mesa. It is huge, heavily populated. In fact, at about 133 square miles and about 500,000 people going eastward, southward of Phoenix, Mesa is the largest city that is not the center of the metropolitan area in America, making it the biggest American suburb. I like to say that it hugs around the East Valley because it kind of does that, starting on the north end of it, if you're looking at me here, north end of it on the map, coming down south and east of the other parts, Chandler, Gilbert, Tempe on this side, Queen Creek down here, Apache Junction over here. Damn, I'm good, right? On that south side, that southeast side of Mesa, you can practically go through 3 different city lines in about a 15-minute drive between Gilbert, Queen Creek, and Mesa. So yeah, that's something good to keep in mind, where if you're looking for certain specifications or jurisdictions for one city to the next, Mesa as a whole covers such a big ground that you can be in a really good spot for yourself and still fall into what you want from the city. And with the talk of the size of it, let's talk about the old versus the new Mesa. So like I said, people have a lot of different opinions about Mesa because there's a lot of different sectors of it, and a ton of it has been changing over the last 10 to 15 years. From that southeast tip of Mesa all the way to the western portion going towards downtown Phoenix, you're talking about a 25-minute drive, including freeway travel. So think of that. At least in Phoenix and other parts of Phoenix, if you're driving 25 minutes, including freeways, you could go between 2 to 3 different cities, right? I can go from, honestly, that eastern part of Mesa as well. If I take the south side, I'm in the west side of Chandler in 25 minutes. So thinking of that, think of central Phoenix, and the older part of Mesa is gonna be closest to Phoenix because everything that's expanded has expanded outwards, right? So when you're looking at infrastructure, at homes, at styles of, the communities, of course you're gonna see that older builds are gonna be closer to downtown. And in the easternmost parts of Mesa, that's when you're talking about things that have been built over the last about 10 years. And still plenty of construction is happening. And if we're going north-south on Mesa as well, especially that big chunk that's on, north of the 60, North Mesa, honestly, you feel a little more laid back because on the south end of Mesa, you're right there, off the 60, the main highway that takes you to downtown, to the rest of the Phoenix Metro. You're going straight into Gilbert and Chandler. There's a lot going on in that area. Nice access, but that does give it more of a hustle bustle feeling if you're falling right off that freeway, as opposed to on the north end, off 202. A lot more just quietness towards the mountains, up the hills, tucked away up the hills, just a different vibe of the neighborhoods up there. Overall, it's really just what you're looking for, that lifestyle for your necessity, your jobs, everything, and that's a perfect segue into our third topic, which is your commuting and your proximity to the lifestyle that you want. So I will say, Phoenix Metro as a whole, I've been to a lot of cities, lived in a lot of cities. It is one of the easier cities to get around because of the grid system and the updated highways and the flat range type. It's not held back by a lot of geography. That being said, if you're looking at Mesa, what you desire as an individual or as a family can really dictate too on what part of Mesa works for you. The older side, the west side, right, where downtown Mesa actually is at as well, that is being reamped, by the way. That allows you for, of course, shorter commutes to your jobs and activities to central Phoenix, downtown Phoenix, to the west side in Glendale, right? That's where Westgate's at, like where the Arizona Cardinals play. There's stadiums over there. And even up north to Scottsdale, right? If you're on the west side of Mesa, you are almost immediately to Scottsdale in a 10-minute drive. Whereas if you're on the east side, you're talking, 30, 35 minutes to Scottsdale, to downtown, and talking even more going up towards the west side. Even considering out-of-state travel, especially if you're, if you work and you travel a lot to the airport, West Mesa might make a lot more sense. You're practically like a 15-minute drive to our main airport here, Phoenix Sky Harbor. That airport on the south side, Phoenix Mesa Gateway, it's great, it's awesome, but it is small and very limited to a lot of just regional airports. Unfortunately, right, I've looked a lot too for us and our family, and there's just not many places that work for where we want to go. But that's another option too if you're living more on the east and the south side. Now with that west side, you might be, you sacrificing with some older infrastructure, older buildings and homes. Areas are all pretty densely populated, but there sometimes it might feel a little more crowded getting closer to downtown. But like I mentioned, there are a lot of renovations happening. A lot of money has come into the downtown Mesa area especially, and things are just reamping, building up. So on the east side of Mesa, like most suburbs, the further away you get from downtown, the quieter it tends to be. It becomes a little bit more spread out, and you're definitely seeing a lot more typical newer suburbia in that east side. Larger master plan housing communities, the shopping centers, the parks are all just a little newer, of course, and so kind of a little more widespread out as well. They kind of maybe took on what they see maybe lacked on the west side and want to kind of make sure they get it right, I guess, on this time of what people want today in this age. Now, construction, like I said, is pretty non-stop though on that side because of how rapidly it has grown. And even the roads itself, they're working to expand a lot of roads because previously when those roads were put there, that population that is here today was definitely not present and not thought of to come so quickly back then. Also, throughout Phoenix, you see a lot of active 55 plus communities, retirement communities. There's plenty of those all throughout the Phoenix metro area. But do keep in mind too, there's a couple great options, and most of those are located in the east side of Mesa. There's some on west, there's some of course in other neighboring cities. I just know in Mesa, on the east side, there's a good amount, big ones, popular ones as well. And again, because it hugs down, right, you're kind of going into, there's a lot of times where you basically feel like you live in Gilbert or you live in Queen Creek because a lot of the things you're going to are in those cities. But technically your home on that east side, on that south side is a Mesa address. So keep in mind too, if you like Gilbert and Queen Creek, but you found a good housing option in Mesa, right? 5 to 15 minute drive and you're there in the other town amenities, if that's not a big deal for you and you can, you don't have to deal with that extra 15 minutes of commuting time living from the west to the east, food for thought. So there you have it. Hopefully some of these topics help you consider some things of what you've thought of and heard of Mesa. If you want more specific answers on certain questions like rent and home sale prices in specific areas and in specific neighborhoods of Mesa and things like that. You see planned communities popping up here and there. I know I have some previous videos that are showing you some great master plan communities coming throughout the valley. And anything else, feel free to shoot me a call, shoot me a text at this number. Go to my website, Baggio Sells AZ, for all moving, buying, selling tips and resources. Or of course, just shoot me a text, shoot me a call. I can do that for you too as well. Great, got it. I gotta get out there too. Let me know in the comments too if you've looked up some other things, maybe you want some on the ground footage of things. Put in the comments what you think I should go to next. Love to hear feedback from y'all. Thank you for stopping by again. Live purposefully and see y'all soon.